Hi everyone, welcome to our Oracle GoldenGate webinar on difference between Oracle GoldenGate and Oracle Data Guard. My name is Ashish Agarwal, and I'll be delivering this lecture to you. So before commencing the session, just a quick round of update regarding my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Ashish Agarwal _GG. So if you haven't visited the channel, I would request you to do visit the channel and do like, share, and subscribe the channel. The channel is dedicated to Oracle GoldenGate related videos. Thank you. So, in today's session, the session agenda includes comparison between Oracle GoldenGate and Oracle Data Guard. So, what is Oracle GoldenGate? What is Oracle Data Guard? And first thing, this is the regular question which I face from a lot of people is people get confused between Golden Gate and Data Guard. So they think that Golden Gate and Data Guard are the same, like they perform the same kind of task. Then why should they opt for Golden Gate, or why should they opt for Data Guard, or why should they opt for either of the two, right? So that's the question which I regularly face. Though in prima facie, yes, both of them look same, but yeah, there is lot of difference. The purpose of both the products is different. What is the difference between them? So many people, in fact, you, because you have joined today, you might have the same question. Like Golden Gate is a data replication. Data Guard is also a data replication tool. So what is the difference between the two? First of all, of course, let me tell you, the major difference is Golden Gate is a licensed product. Golden Gate, Oracle charges heavily for Oracle. Golden Gate is not a cheap product. Okay. However, Data Guard is free of cost. Active Data Guard is also chargeable, but that is again not that costly as Oracle Data Guard as per the Oracle licenses. So if a product is free, so basically we are comparing a product which is highly chargeable to the one which is free, right? So that should answer there is a huge difference. The capability wise and what they are trying to achieve with Golden Gate, they cannot achieve with Data Guard, right? That is the first thing. Second thing is Golden Gate is so personally, if you talk about when you talk about your personal growth, as I told you, average salary of Oracle DB and Oracle Golden Gate differs by 30%, and that is average. It can differ up to 7. I have seen personally as well myself when I was working as Oracle DB and when I started learning Golden Gate, there was huge difference, 80% almost. So it can differ up to that much as well. But being a DBA, data guard has to be there. So have adding data guard to your resume doesn't help you personally. Of course, every knowledge helps, but when I talk about like financially wise or monetary wise, if you go to your interview, so if you are Oracle DBA, it is mandatory to have or to have knowledge on data guard, right? It's not treated like you will get, they will pay you better. But if you have Golden Gate knowledge, yes, you will be paid better. So there has to be a difference, right? So I'm talking right now about monetary wise. I'm not talking about technically, but monetary wise. Just to give you an idea, yes, there has to be a difference for those who think that if data can we use Golden Gate in place of data guard, or can we use data guard in place of, so that straight away now going forward you can answer no, you cannot. Why? Technical reasons you will be understanding now. Okay, so Oracle Active Data Guard, when we talk about disaster, it is a disaster recovery and read only offload to active standby. So what happens is you have a primary site and a standby site. Okay, so whatever transactions or real-time data is getting loaded on your source database, it will be synchronized to the target database using the data guard. So data guard is a data, it is a block by block data replication. So block by block means whatever is happening on primary database. So even if you run alter system, alter database command, that will be replicated to target side. So basically, data guard is database level replication. I always tell this as data guard is database level replication tool. So database level replication tool means is whatever activity is happening on your source database, primary database, it will be replicated to your secondary database. So block by block. So alter system, alter database, any database parameter change you are doing, it will be replicated to the target. But GoldenGate is not database level replication. It's an object level replication. So GoldenGate works on your application data. So whatever object changes are happening in your GoldenGate, only those gets replicated using Oracle GoldenGate. We'll discuss more on this. So in data guard, whatever changes are happening on the primary database, they will be synchronized onto the target database. Now, if you are using it as, there are two types of standby database. One is active. So active standby means it will be in it will be in read write mode. And the standby database, normal standby, which many organization or most of the places it is being used, or which is free of cost as well. Your secondary database is not only in the active standby means it will be in read only mode. Okay. And when it's standby, it means that it will be like mounted mode, and whatever transactions are happening on source, they will be replicated to target side. So basically, if in case of disaster only, you can get your database up, and then application can connect in data guard when I'm talking about. So data guard is an database level replication tool which performs block by block replication. So whatever transactions are happening on source, they will be replicated to the target database. So in data guard, what happens is your target database is in mountain mode. So basically your data is getting replicated, but you cannot do anything with it unless you switch over the role of it and you make it primary and the other side is standby. Then only it will go into read write mode, and then you can do whatever you want over there. However, there is one more thing which has been introduced, I think in database version 12c only, active standby. So in active standby, you can keep your target standby database in read only mode so that you can run the queries. So if your database, so active standby, remember, is a licensed product. Oracle charges for it. It's not free. Your standby, when not in active mode, when it is in mountain mode, it's free of cost, but you cannot run any query on it. But in active standby, it is in read only mode and you can run your query. Like you can switch your reporting jobs if you want, and you can run your incremental backups, etc. if you want from there. Okay. Now, how Oracle Data Guard and GoldenGate works. So when changes are made at Oracle database level, blocks are changed in the database records and they are added to redo logs. In Data Guard, depending on the mode that you are running, these records will be immediately copied to the standby or deferred. So Data Guard also has multiple type of modes as well. So when changes happens, so these log records can be immediately copied to the standby. You can defer it as per your requirement. These are all the changes to the database. Since they are log records and block data, they are very quickly applied to the standby database. All non-committed transactions are rolled back. All committed transactions are rolled forward, and recovery can happen in matter of seconds. Okay, so this is how your data guard works. GoldenGate works in completely different way. GoldenGate extract process mines the redo log in case of classic extract or receives changes from logminer database and captures only committed transactions. So remember one thing, this is the major difference between data guard and GoldenGate, that GoldenGate captures only committed transactions. It doesn't worry about any uncommitted transactions. But in case of data guard, that is the major thing. The non-committed transaction gets rolled back on target and committed transactions are rolled forward on the target database. Okay. So GoldenGate is an object level replication. Data guard is a database level replication. It is a block by block replication data guard. So active data guard, when we talk about active data guard and GoldenGate comparison, so active data guard is complete one-way physical replication. GoldenGate is logical replication, active, high availability. You can do it for one to many, many to one. You can do subset replication, transformation, etc. So one of the major thing with GoldenGate is you can have, as I told you in the beginning as well, you can have one source, multiple target, or you can have you can have multiple sources, single target. So one to GoldenGate supports one to many, many to one replication as well. You can perform data filtration and transformation as well. With data guard, you cannot do that. Okay. With data guard, you cannot do your data filtration or transformation, or you cannot do one to one, or you can have only one source and one target. Another thing is with data guard, it can only be Oracle to Oracle, same version, platform same. GoldenGate, there is no requirement. You can have source on 19C, target on 11C. I'm talking about database. Okay. So in GoldenGate, the major advantage is your source database can be 19C. Target can be 11G. GoldenGate can replicate the data. Your source GG version can be 21C. Target GoldenGate version can be 12C. GoldenGate can replicate the data. So GoldenGate supports forward compatibility as well as backward compatibility. So forward compatibility means your database is, say for example, on lower versions on source DB11G and target is DB19C. GoldenGate can replicate the data, or 21C as well. GoldenGate can replicate the data. Same way on source, your GoldenGate can be 12C and your target GoldenGate can be 21C. GoldenGate can replicate the data without any issue. So that is the major advantage with GoldenGate, that it can support your forward compatibility as well as backward compatibility. Another thing with GoldenGate is it can support any platform. Your source and target can be any platform. So source can be Linux, target can be Windows. GoldenGate can has no issues. In fact, different endian format can be supported as well. Big endian, your source can be in big endian. Like if you're not aware, for those, each platform has an endian format. Like Linux has big endian or small endian. Windows is big endian or small endian. So until GoldenGate version 18C, there was some restriction that if your source is on big endian and target is on small endian, there was an issue. But now going forward, like there is no issue. So your source can be Linux. No, that was different. Forget about big endian and small endian. That was like your GoldenGate can also run from remote server as well. So that was different. Oh, big endian and small endian used to come in that way. Okay, forget about that part. I don't want to discuss right now because of time constraint. But yeah, sure. So let us continue this discussion, that GoldenGate can have your different platforms between source and target. So your source can be Linux, target can be Solaris. So even though the endian format of Linux and Solaris is different. So Linux is, I believe, small endian and Solaris is big endian. So still they can replicate the data, whether your GoldenGate version is 11G, whether your GoldenGate version is 12C, 18C, 19C, or 21C, or 23A, whatever it is. So GoldenGate source and target platform can be anything. Source can be Linux, target can be Windows, or any other platform. GoldenGate can replicate the data without any issues for you. So you can have different platforms and different uh, targets as well. So you can have different platforms between source and target, which is not the case with data guard. Okay. So standby database in active data guard, standby database is exact copy. Okay. And it is opened in read only. In GoldenGate, target is a different database with same data. It may have a different physical structure or indexing scheme as well. So your target database can have, like, you if you're filtering the transactions. So you can have different structure, different database. In fact, on target tables, you can add some columns. So you can do data filtration and transformation as per your requirement. Okay. Golden Gate is extremely flexible. Source and target are always open and read write. Okay. Then in active data guard, your backups are interchangeable. So you can use backup of a standby or data guard as per requirement because the data is always same. But in Golden Gate, yeah, because your data may not be same, hence you cannot use your backups of source to target or target to source. Okay. That integrated automatic database failover. So you can do automatic database failover. If your primary is down, your secondary standby will become source in active data guard. Okay. Now, Golden Gate, rich functionality and flexibility also bring additional deployment considerations like performance management, some data type restrictions, application support. Now that is another. So with Golden Gate, say for example on source, the application was supported, performance was fine. But on target, because you are changing the indexing scheme, you are changing like data, you are changing the structure, so it can have some performance issues. I'm not saying it can have performance issues, but the mean to say is on source, your performance was good, for example. On target, it may be very good or it may deteriorate as well in comparison to source as well, because you have different set of data, different set of structures. You have like you may have some data type restriction as well. Application support may be different as well. So you will have to do different types of things with Golden Gate. Okay, so basically the purpose is if your active data guard is being used on source, you cannot say that same will be used for target as well. Okay, in Golden Gate. Okay. Now another thing is Golden Gate is used for zero downtime upgradation and migration. You cannot use data guard. With data guard, you will have some downtime. But with Golden Gate, you can use it for zero downtime upgradation and migration. And organizations nowadays buy Golden Gate licenses short term just for cloud migration because a lot of things are going to cloud so that they can use Golden Gate for zero downtime upgradation and migration. Extensive cross-platform support is available with GoldenGate. However, with DataGuard, there is limited cross-platform support available. In active DataGuard, you have to do if there is any patching, so you have to perform standby first patching. But in GoldenGate, like you have two different databases. So even if you don't do any patching on any of the site, GoldenGate will have no issues unless there is any compulsion to do. Okay. Then database rolling maintenance and upgrades. Then you have transparent to operate. Active data guard is transparent to operate and no data type restrictions because it is one-to-one replication. So there is no data type replication. With Golden Gate, there may be some data type restrictions as well. Let me tell you, with Golden Gate version 19C, most of the restrictions, which were until 12C, there was some restriction in Oracle Golden Gate, but now with Golden Gate version 19C, the support for blob, clob, or other data types have introduced. So there is no issue with the support as well now with data type restriction. So this point now doesn't hold much true with Golden Gates. It's same in both Data Guard and Golden Gate as well. Okay, then unique in active data guard, unique protection from silent corruption caused by lost rights and automatic repair of corrupt data blocks in database. So that is one feature in active data guard, of course, that any corruption of the block which happen, it you can in data guard, it can automatically be recovered or repaired. But in Golden Gate, what happens is standard corruption protection integrated with Oracle database. So automatically it doesn't happen. There is some manual intervention required when corruption comes. But the thing is, let me tell you, until Golden Gate version 12.2, corruption used to be the common phenomena in Golden Gate. But from Golden Gate version 12.3 onward, Golden Gate is more robust. And because see, another thing is, it's a costly product. Oracle charge for it, and data is everything for an organization. So if any corruption happens, any data issue comes, Oracle is bound to pay penalty also. So now from Golden Gate version 12.3 onwards, Golden Gate is more robust. And to be very honest, I don't see any such issues like data type restriction issues or corruption issues in Golden Gate anymore. But yes, I have seen, because I have been working in Golden Gate for a long time. So when Golden Gate was new, like in Golden Gate version 11G or 12.1 as well, I used to see these kind of things. But now I don't see this anymore. So Golden Gate and active data guard. See, I always say one thing. You can compare apple to apple, but you cannot compare apple to orange. So same thing applies in data guard and Golden Gate. Golden Gate is Golden Gate and Data Guard is comparing both of them, like you are comparing apple to orange, because both are completely different. Both usages is different. You cannot say that if you have Data Guard requirement, you can replace it with Golden Gate, or you cannot do vice versa. If you have Golden Gate requirement, you cannot replace with Data Guard, or if you have Data Guard requirement, you cannot replace with Golden Gate. See, the whole purpose is Golden Gate is also used for business intelligence purpose as well. Let me tell you, Golden Gate, along with Informatica or ODI, is one of the best business intelligence product or combination available in the market. So Golden Gate is also used for business intelligence, like Amazon. They are using Golden Gate. All financial institutions, telecom institutions, they are using for business intelligence purpose. They use Golden Gate. They invest heavily in Golden Gate. So Golden Gate and Data Guard are two different products where you cannot compare. Yeah, Oracle had got a stream until 11G. Now streams has been completely replaced by Golden Gate. So you can say that Golden Gate Golden Gate is a solution for streams, but Golden Gate is not a solution for data guard. Another thing, let me tell you, is Golden Gate works on application data. So Golden Gate is an object level replication tool. So when you configure Golden Gate, so say for example, you're configuring Golden Gate here. Let me show you one configuration here. So this is one of my Golden Gate environment. Oh, I think I deinstalled it. Okay. Let me go to Ggate 2. Let me see here if I have anything. Okay. So I'll show you this parameter file, for example, excbi 18. Okay. So see, I have given an include list, so I can open this as well. In this, the list of tables is provided. Okay. So this Golden Gate, so there may be 1,000 schemas in this database, in PDB2 database. There can be 100 schemas. There can be 1,000 schemas in this database. Each schema can have 100 tables. But what we are doing is we are asking Golden Gate to capture the data only from GG training to schema and from these two tables, DPT22 and EMP2. So you can pick and choose what you want to replicate. It's not like you are doing complete database replication at yours. So that is the major advantage with Oracle Golden Gate. You can pick and choose. It works on your application data, and whatever you want to replicate, you can replicate. You can do row level filtration as well. That's what you will learn during the training as well. I discussed that during the training as well. So row level filtration. So active data guard, you don't have any choice. Whatever is happening on source, it will be replicated. One-to-one replication. So the whole purpose of active data guard is just to ensure disaster recovery. In case of disaster, say for example, your target is down, target is there is some power failure, flood, or any other thing. In case of disaster, you can switch over your target to primary. But Golden Gate is much more than that. Apart from disaster recovery, you can use it for business intelligence, you can use for data warehousing, you can use it for data broadcasting, you can use it for like multiple things. Another thing, what I want to tell you is active data guard or data guard can only be set up from the same database. However, Golden Gate can run from your different servers. So another important thing is this Golden Gate, which we are running in this architecture. So you can set this Golden Gate. It's not like Golden Gate has to be present on the same server as the database server. GoldenGate can also be present on the remote server as well. You must have heard the term GoldenGate Hub. So this is what GoldenGate Hub does for you. So GoldenGate processes runs from the remote server instead from the database server. So there are advantages. So GoldenGate holds advantage over DataGuard in terms of data filtration, transformation. Along with that, let me tell you major thing. Performance of Oracle GoldenGate is much higher or much faster than active data guard or data guard. GoldenGate can replicate the data within few seconds based on the configuration. With data guard, there are issues which have been identified. I'll talk about SBI, State Bank of India. It is one of the biggest bank of India. Many of you know who are from India. For those who don't know, State Bank of India is one of the biggest database. I was working with them in 2011 to 2013. I worked with them. And let me tell you, all my learning, because it is such a big database, 43 terabytes it was at that time. I'm assuming it to be 80 terabytes now or more because it's almost 10 years. Whatever I have learned in Golden Gate, I dedicated to SBI. I learned a lot over there because their database was so complex, the setup was so complex, the configuration which I did was so complex at that time. So let me tell you, they were running DataGuard. So they had their primary server in Mumbai, India, and their secondary server using DataGuard was replicating using to Hyderabad. They were replicating their secondary site was in Hyderabad where they were using Golden Data Guard to replicate. Now, what used to happen was because they were replicating the data, what was happening? They used because they used to run some nightly jobs, and during nightly jobs they used to generate the archive logs up to 500 GB. And at that time, you won't believe the data guard used to lag behind 3 days as well. I have seen personally that the data guard used to lag behind 3 days. Now assume that the data guard is lagging behind 3 days, and suppose there is some disaster in Mumbai. Okay, what they will be doing? They cannot switch to Hyderabad because they don't have the exact copyright. So what they to do? So another thing is like they used to run a lot of reporting jobs on their primary database. So at that time, most of you can relate. SBI is still a government bank. So at that time, SBI was losing its customers because the customer dissatisfaction was coming. Their database didn't used to respond, and hence, as a result, many of you or your parent, if they used to go to the bank, they were getting the message that server is not responding. It was not server. It was basically database response was not coming. It was not able to take their request because in banking domain or telecom domain, what happens is you guys they run a lot of reporting jobs as well. Reporting jobs consume a lot of database performance. So what I suggested to them was let us replicate data using GoldenGate and switch their reporting jobs to the secondary database. This is what we did, and you won't believe the customer satisfaction improved. And SBI, before implementation of GoldenGate, they were experiencing of they were experiencing the lag of they were experiencing the loss of almost 5 crore rupees a day. 5 crore is almost $1 million a day. After that, still there was loss, I would not say, but it was almost 90% less with GoldenGate. How it happened, that is something some other day to discuss because, but yeah, with GoldenGate has very much like GoldenGate is much advantageous, and I cannot say that data guard is not doesn't have advantage. The only thing is data guard is a separate product, GoldenGate is a separate product. Both of the product have their unique advantages and unique used cases. How you want to use them, it depends on the business requirement. So going forward, because you have attended this webinar, I don't want or I don't want you to tell that can we use data guard in instead of GoldenGate, or can we use GoldenGate instead of it? That's the whole point. Okay. So the configuration of GoldenGate and DataGuard has the purpose of synchronizing data between two or more systems. Oracle DataGuard and GoldenGate involves at least two systems where transactional data from one database is required to be moved to another database. The purpose of replication of data can be disaster recovery, migration of data, or preparation of secondary systems. DataGuard is best for disaster recovery and data protection problems. GoldenGate is more flexible, heterogeneous replication mechanism, and is also able to filter and transform the data while it is being replicated. And performance-wise, GoldenGate performance is much higher. DataGuard is now another thing is DataGuard is Oracle specific technology, while GoldenGate support heterogeneous database systems including all major RDBMs. GoldenGate only works in unidirectional. DataGuard can work. DataGuard only works in unidirectional. GoldenGate can work in bidirectional environment as well. So DataGuard supports active passive replication. One of the database is primary and another one is inactive active DataGuard. However, with GoldenGate, both are active active. So GoldenGate supports active active replication and allows both systems to work simultaneously while maintaining the data integrity. GoldenGate allows filtration and transformation of data with conflict management while it is being replicated between both database systems. GoldenGate allows replication across platforms. GoldenGate has many cases of utilization. It is not only database to database replication, the use of flat files for data transformation and support for heterogeneous systems are some of the other features. So GoldenGate can support number of different business requirements like unidirectional, bidirectional, peer-to-peer, broadcasting, consolidation, and cascading as well. So GoldenGate ensures business continuity and high availability. It supports zero downtime data migration and upgrades. It can be used for decision support system and data warehousing, data integration, and data consolidation. Okay. So if you're looking to do any of the following, GoldenGate is best solution. Replicate one or more tables to a read-write database. Bidirectional replication. Replicate and transform tables. Zero or near zero downtime upgrades. Heterogeneous replication. High availability. Real-time business intelligence. Or if you want to use your target for query or reporting. Okay. Now together use cases of your Oracle GoldenGate and DataGuard. Now there are use cases of Oracle GoldenGate and DataGuard being used together. So what you can do is you can have multiple source databases replicating to single target. Okay. And from there you can create and standby. So that is one of the use case where GoldenGate and DataGuard are. So you have multiple sources. It could be multiple heterogeneous databases, either Oracle or non-Oracle database, replicating data to single Oracle database. And from that, you are making copy of this database using Oracle standby data. Okay. So disaster recovery and disaster protection. So fast failover to physical standby. So disaster recovery and data protection can only be done for Oracle database. Okay. Data distribution and synchronize. So together use cases of active DataGuard and GoldenGate. So it is enterprise-wide heterogeneous replication. Like you have got heterogeneous databases replicating data to single Oracle database using GoldenGate, and then using DataGuard, you are replicating it to, you are creating the copy of it. So non-invasive by reading the database log. It supports active-active scenario, guaranteed delivery across wide area. Okay. So that is the major advantage of using active DataGuard and Oracle GoldenGate together. You can do that. So how data flow happens in Oracle GoldenGate is Oracle log files are read by extract process capturing any required data for replication. Extract carries out mapping and conversion to the data and then writes it out to the trail file. So extract process captures the committed transaction, write it to local trail. Then data pump process read the local trail file and writes it to remote trail file. Once the data is written into the remote trail file, the replicate process reads the trail file and applies it to target database. Okay. So now, with so much advantages of Golden Gate, now the question comes: who should be learning Golden Gate? Whether you should be learning Golden Gate or not. So the thing is, if any of the below answer is there as yes, you should be learning. If you're not already learning, so if you want to basically accelerate your career growth, then you should learn Golden Gate. If you're working as DBA, apps DBA, so any Oracle or non-Oracle database administrator, if you are working as PLSQL developer, technologists responsible for data replication, high availability data technologists should learn. Cloud migration specialists should learn. So if you want to migrate the data from one cloud to another cloud or from on-prem to cloud, you should be learning. So why should you be learning Golden Gate is Golden Gate is used by all top banks and telecoms and large enterprises with big budget. So higher paid job. Today, employer expect DBA and developer to know more than one task. Golden Gate is niche and in demand skill. I'll tell you one scenario. Like initially during COVID times when cloud was launched, you won't believe I used to receive almost 500 to 600 inquiries a day with introduction of this cloud. Are DBA no longer are DBA going to be extinct or or our job is in danger? I always say one thing. Always keep upgrading yourself. Trust me, you won't have any issue. Every year, every cycle, last 10 to 15% people who are in bottom 10 to 15%, they always have a sword hanging on their job. Because see, organizations have to cut their budget, right? They have to save their money. So if you are in less than 10 to 15%, then yes, you won't be able to survive. But yes, if you can upgrade yourself and if you can be in top 80%, you don't have to worry about your job. And another thing is not only remaining in the job, another thing is climbing the ladder in terms of your position as well as your salary. Both things matter. You have to learn something new. So not only Golden Gate is one of them. If you think you are working in different technology, then learn the technology most suited to your skill. Okay. So if you're working as OS admin and if you learn Golden Gate, then definitely it's not going to help. Learn the technology because there are other people as well in this webinar who are not only DBAs. So if you're not working as a DBA, if you're working as say for example OS admin, then learn some technology which can help you in growth in that particular area. Okay. Now now another thing is, or why there is so much demand of Golden Gate administrators is because there are a lot of cloud implementations going on. So customer want real-time replication or zero-time data migration from on-prem to cloud. So you can go for like short-term contract project as well. There they pay you very handsomely and you do their project and come out.